Maybe that worked. Let's see. Oh, yes, we're live. So while we wait for Andrew, we can hop on and start where we left off yesterday. So basically writing the specs for the fork button that we migrated over to be a Vue component. So okay, you should be able to see my screen. So yesterday Lee found this spec that's basically making sure that the fork button on a project page is working properly. And okay, these are on project page. This this spec though is not testing everything. So this is testing basically it's making sure that the user is enabled to create a fork by default, and if the user has exceeded the personal project limit, the fork button should be disabled. But we, as we saw yesterday, we have different there's also some different reasons why the fork button can be disabled, and also different links that the fork button can point to. So I think that the first thing we should do is update this spec to test everything with the old button, so that we can then make sure that's working properly when we migrate over the Vue button. So let's write down some the situations. Well, we already have those on the fork button view. We have the conditions that we need to test. Yeah, because we have these two options. So let's first try to, well, this spec will, of course, not work. Let's do it like this. So go back to create a commit with these changes that we made yesterday. Not all of this. Ah, this is why. Like that. The fork button and the fork initialization. I should go before title. I should go before icon. Before href. Let's put it there. Okay, we can commit these changes. So, and I want to push these changes. Let's stash that. Okay, and push oh, this will fail, obviously. No, it didn't fail. Okay, perfect. So what I want to do is go back to master. So we have the original fork button. Okay, and do GDK near start just in case. So we have the old fork button, and this spec should work. Yeah, we have to set up quite a lot of stuff. Hmm. Hmm. This is a generic. Okay. Oh, it's compiling Italy. Okay, so we can try and think about how to set up the specs. So looking at the looking at this, we can see, yeah, we have to set up test to make sure this stuff works. So we first have to create a spec, making sure that when the user cannot read code, the fork button is disabled. And that's going to work by creating a private project, and the user won't have access to that project. So next, the user cannot read does access to the project. To private is not public, but we also have internals. A disabled fork button on project page. Yes. Otherwise, the user has access to the project. The user should be, by default, the user should be able to fork the button. And differently. Let's do context when the user has access to more than one namespace. Yes. Here, and the user has already forked the project. So the person is the user access to more than one namespace, so it should go down here. Okay, and the button should be disabled and should be enabled and check. Yeah. If the user has access to more than one namespace and the user has already forked the project, more than one, so it should still be the same. So when the user has already forked the project, when the user has not forked the project, they should behave the same. User has access to the project. Access to more than one namespace. Already forked. Not forked. There's a lot of different stuff to test. So let's do it this way. If the user has already forked the namespace, let's test this in isolation. So has access to the project, has access to only one namespace. Okay. Namespace and has already project. The user to go to the fork page from the project. Existing fork URL. Otherwise, when the user has access to more than one namespace, allows the user to fork the project from the project page. The user has access to more than one. And also, hi, Andrew. Text.
Hey, Marco, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. What about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Enjoying some crisps and trying to get my virtual machine started.
Oh, that's fun.
Do you call them crisps or do you call them chips?
Chips.
Yeah, okay.
Is it one of those US versus British?
Mm-hmm.
Like aluminium versus aluminum?
Aluminum. Yeah, these are like packets of chips that, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, please join
Lee
me.
will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure.
These are limited edition Worcestershire sauce flavored crisps.
Oh, so that's how you say word that word.
Worcester. Worcestershire. Yeah, Worcestershire.
Marco. Hi, Andrew.
Lee.
Hey, Marco. Hey, Marco. Hey, Lee.
Late to the party, I'm afraid. Are we getting on all right?
I literally just joined.
Oh,
Yeah, I was talking to myself.
no worries. No worries. Well, I'll let you keep doing that for 2 seconds. I've just signed up for Threads.
Okay.
And you
Oh
know,
no.
yeah. But without first signing up for some completely unrelated messaging platform called Threads. I just thought, Google it. Yeah, threads.com looks good. Sign up. Right at the end of signing up, it says, by the way, this is nothing to do with Meta's Instagram Threads thingy. How's that?
Oh, right. There's another one called
Thanks,
Threads.
thanks for telling me that right after I signed up.
I mean, they have to tell you afterwards, otherwise you wouldn't sign up.
Absolutely.
By the way, I started working on the specs. So I'm writing the specs for the old component to make sure that the new one works.
Nice.
And I realized that's useful, but it will be useful only for a very brief period of time. Because we are going to change the behavior of that button. So these specs will go out of the window.
That is true, but I think that it's probably warranted to ensure that it's behaving in the same way.
Yeah.
And we can update the specs, right, to sort of show the new behavior. And it'll almost be, I know we said this, I think yesterday, that the feature specs might be quite a good representation of the merge request recreation steps.
Yes.
So like now, as you say, it's a bit sort of sucky having to kind of rewrite or write tests that should maybe already exist and just writing them for sanity check and make sure we're not sort of regressing or breaking anything. But later on, those specs will almost become a checklist of how do I test this change.
Yeah, the thing is that we don't have these specs on master. So we basically are writing specs that won't compare to something already existing. So we are not, if something doesn't work, it's not going to break anything.
But aren't we going to put this behind a feature flag?
No.
So that would be the easy way to have a test it with the feature flag enabled, test it with the feature flag disabled in the feature spec, and that way we know we're not regressing. Otherwise, I suppose you could write the spec in an MR, get that merged, and then rebase this branch. What do you think?
Yeah, that's one way to do it, because to write these specs, I basically committed the changes that we made yesterday and went back to master, because otherwise I wouldn't have the old button.
Yeah,
that would give you 2 merge requests for the hackathon, double the points.
Wow, this one was already created, so this one doesn't count, but the other one.
Yeah, well, I could create the MR only for the specs.
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, that's maybe one better way to make sure that everything works, because otherwise we would have to tell the reviewers to test locally, but they also wouldn't have the old code.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. They'd almost have to apply a patch or a diff or whatever you want to call it to the master branch, run that test, and then be a bit messy and hacky.
Yeah. Okay. So where was I? When the user has access to the project. When user already has not ready for the project, it
Did you sorry, still looking at this stupid Threads thing, but did you try and enable code suggestions or not yet?
Oh no, I totally forgot about that.
I did try and enable it on mine. It's enabled in my profile, but I couldn't find out how to enable it in code. It just said it's always disabled.
So did you in Visual Studio Code? Have you got the the GitLab workflow extension installed?
Yep.
And
Yeah,
you're
and I get that
signed-
little icon at the bottom corner.
Yeah, and you're signed in.
Yeah, signing with OAuth 2.
Okay. And did you say that icon does appear on the taskbar to sort of say it's disabled, basically?
Yeah,
or-
it looks like Marco's does down there, the little GitLab icon with a cross through it.
And have you got the GitLab project open and
How do you mean? In
So
VS
you-
Code?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and do I have also to enable that on my autocomplete GitLab? No. On my
You need to enable it on the repository. I don't think you
But it should
do.
definitely be well, I know it's enabled because it's working for me. So it's definitely enabled on the community fork sort of group.
I'm using my personal fork still.
okay, so
But
that's
I think
I
that
couldn't
might be
see
why,
where to-
Andrew.
Do you know
I
where
don't-
it would be then?
I don't think you'd be able to enable it for that. I think it's I think it's probably specifically like
Oh, is it on a per?
I think it's
repo
apparently
basis.
maybe beta. Let me have a quick Google. Get that codes. So yeah, it's
Are
definitely
you
in
using the
beta.
community fork, Marco?
yep.
And it still says disabled for you though.
It says it's available to use of GitLab SaaS and self-managed when requested. VS Code when you have the corresponding extension.
Yeah, that's what I get. It just says code suggestions are disabled, but it doesn't tell you why.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of handy if it gave an actual reason why.
So have you've checked in your profile, have you, Marco, that it's enabled?
The profile?
Yeah, on like the website on gitlab.com.
Maybe not. Let me
So let's
stop
check
sharing.
that setting first.
I stop my screen share just to make sure. So GitLab.com on my
Oh, hang on. I just found it. Did that work? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Do you want to share your screen again, Marco?
Neighbor code suggestions.
Did
Save.
you just find it? Oh, are you on your profile or are you in VS Code?
On my profile, but the extension is still has to pick that up.
Yeah, if you share your screen again, and I can show you where to go.
Yeah. Let me share it. Okay.
So yeah, if you click on that little cog icon next to, you've got disable, extension settings, and then the very first checkbox, enable code completion. And then your icon at the bottom should change, and mine's got some stars on it, I think.
Yay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So
How do you do anything with it now?
Just crack on.
Yes, I
Woo!
have it.
Click link fork.
Yeah,
How does it know to do that?
that's probably not what I want to do right now, but
Visit project path. That's true. Yeah.
That's why did that? Come on, do it again.
You possibly want to start typing something.
Yeah. I wonder why this is not writing the end of this
Oh, it's missing the final bracket. Yeah.
and the final.
It is in beta.
It's got a limit. So if you press tab and wait a second, I had hoped press backspace maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's just that it'll only suggest a certain amount at once, and you sort of have to. I'm not an expert at using it yet. I still need to work it out a little bit more, but it's been really like much better than it used to be.
That's probably something that I would change. Well, anyway, so we have code suggestions now. Yay. And just to give you an idea, I basically started splitting this spec up to replicate what the behavior is. So basically, two main blocks, one for when the user does not have access to the project and the project is not public. So basically the user cannot read code.
Yep.
And if instead the user has access, I am splitting it up for basically the first part. So when the user has already forked the project and has access to only one forkable namespace. And in that case, the button should be enabled and the URL should point to the user's fork.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if the user has not already forked the project, should be enabled and check for new fork URL.
Definitely one that I wonder if I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea, but like using our table syntax where you've kind of got like, right, what do we expect the URL to be? What do we expect the button to be enabled or disabled? And then
can we do that in Ruby?
Yeah, if you do a grep with underscore them.
Oh.
So it may or may not work, but just when I see a lot of repeated sort of, oh, we're just, everyone, it's either true or false and one link or the other link. We might be able to do something like this, but doing it the way you're doing is probably good to start with. And then if you look at it and say, yeah, I can easily convert it to this syntax, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not too sure about this as well, because when the user has access to only one namespace and has already forked the project, that's pretty easy. But then we have when the user has not already forked the project and when the user has access to more than one namespace, that they basically do the same.
Yeah.
So and inside of these, the tests would also be the same, because I would have to make sure that the user the button is enabled and pointing to the new fork URL by default, or one of the other two cases where the button is disabled.
Yeah, so you could also just use shared examples or whatever they call it and just say like it behaves like
yeah, true. And maybe that's the best way to do it. How to shared examples? Shared examples. Oh, I have to go for a couple of seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. How did you get on with did you do some pairing with Tom after our session yesterday, Andrew?
Yeah, we tried to do it on Zoom, but he was having issues with screen sharing, so he jumped over to Discord.
Okay, and forgive me, I saw Tom pop on and sort of waved hello, but I didn't put two and two together with Cobbles or whatever the nickname was. So I didn't clock. Otherwise, I might have tried to sideline Marco and sort of see if we could, see what Tom wanted to maybe kind of look at or work on. But
yeah, no, Tom was just trying to get the GDK set up.
Mhm.
Not entirely sure what happened the first time he did it, but he ran the one-liner script. He removed everything, ran the one-liner script a second time, and everything seemed to work fine. There was just
Perfect.
a bit of like the success message at the end is kind of obscure and doesn't really tell you what to do next. So it's just like, there you go.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Go and sort it out yourself.
Cool.
So we walked through setting up jumping into the development folder, running GDK update, GDK status, making sure that the correct fork was checked out, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Awesome.
Brought everything up, changed his root password and clicked around a bit. And then tried some Git pushes and pulls to the GDK, and everything worked fine. So
just kind of getting comfortable with the development environment, essentially. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thanks. So shared example with the why are you,
I've never used that before.
you drew a smile on my oh my, how did you do that?
I've never seen the annotate option before, but hey, there you go. Now in future, when me and Andrew are talking and pointing to something on the screen and then realize that you can't see our finger, we can actually point to something on the screen.
Yay. So one more reason to switch over to Zoom.
Yeah. We have to document this actually soon.
Oh, you're right.
The Zoom meeting link, you mean?
The link, but also just maybe mention that the maintainers, if that's true, maybe it's not the maintainers, but who has access to kind of host it. And
to a lot of different things.
And yeah, just sort of notes about why definitely is quite. I think I'd be keen to have something that just explains that maybe we used Twitch or Restream initially because of X, and then we switched to this because of Y. And yeah, if there's any kind of notes about where we stream it to, or yeah, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It behaves like what was this in that's the syntax. Oh, and it picked up the right spec shared example. Nice. This is the same. Okay, so we have these two that should behave the same, and their behavior should be, by default, the user can fork the project, and the button, the URL is for the new fork. Otherwise, if the user has exceeded the project limit, we have the button disabled. And I don't know, should we also check for the URL?
If it's disabled, I don't know if but I think if you're using the shared example, oh wait, now I'm getting confused. So the shared example actually contains user has exceeded. I don't think you need to check the URL.
Yeah.
If button's disabled, right?
Yeah, and there's also the other reason why. So basically, if the user cannot fork no, create fork. When is this not enabled for the user? Enable. Is it disabled by default? Can create fork. That's a rule. And this rule condition forkable namespaces any. So basically the user can create a fork only if it has access to a forkable namespace. And no, it's not really that. It's if the user has access to a forkable namespace where it can create projects.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure what a forkable namespace necessarily is, but let's not worry about that yet.
I think it's where
no.
you're going to have developer or above permissions.
But then why would you check that you can create a project if forkable namespace already checks permissions?
Yes.
Is it doing a double check? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what have a quick look what for namespaces.
When the user cannot create forks. And we are going to stop that.
The forkable namespace takes personal namespace and groups allowing project creation. So I wonder whether that last check is actually redundant, to be honest.
No, that's not. Oh,
Yeah, I think it probably is redundant.
probably.
But again, let's not.
Can I stub a method only for a certain?
Yeah. Certain parameters, is it? Or
Yes, because I want to stop the can method on the user when receiving fork project.
so if you do dot with,
Oh, receive can, and I'm at this point I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
there you go.
With that's on the controller, but I don't need that. With this time it's fork project and return false. Cannot. So let's put it in a better way. The user cannot fork the project. It disables the fork button. When the user has exceeded the personal project limits, is this condition down here, I guess, because you have reached your project limit. I think that's it. So I'm not going to change this. Let's see if I broke anything, and I'm pretty sure I did. The zoom bar always in the middle. User is not available on example group. Because yes, I do have a user. Oh, this has to be inside the before. Yes. Where's the screenshot? HTML screenshot. It should also have generated a PNG.
Can't remember how wild.
I should also be able to see the errors once it's finished. Capybara specs are kind of slow.
Yep. But then if you think what it's doing, you know,
Yeah, it's great.
GDK is kind of slow, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a little something we can try if you fancy. We're running a bit low on time. Are you using M1 at the moment?
Yeah.
So apparently GDK defaults to use all cores. And I think that the M1 has performance cores and efficiency cores.
Yeah.
And if you tweak a config and tell it to use not all the cores, it only uses performance cores and it performs a lot better.
Okay.
Who's your mate?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't got around to trying it yet, but it might be something that's well, yeah, it sounds like it could make a significant difference actually, which would be quite nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh. It's complaining about the stub with unexpected arguments.
So where
So the default and then my override. So by default, it's going to behave like it should. Otherwise,
yeah, quite right.
still wrong. So you And that's a GDK config for the performance core.
Yeah, so let me find it. So I think it's in your GDK YAML. It's going to be quite hard to determine whether it actually works or not. But,
GDK YAML. And that's empty. Whoa, nice.
oh wow, that's quite good because it means you got your default config, if that makes sense. You haven't modified, Webpack or Rails or anything. So
Yeah.
that's all good. Let me just have a look. Get there. So in mine, I've got Webpack incremental enabled, Elasticsearch enabled, hostname sets GDK.test, and the CI database enabled as well. So I've got a few bits of bobs. So in that example, is there anything to do with threads?
Yes, on Puma.
That's what you want. So this is where you might be more knowledgeable than me. I'm just going to see if we can find this information by saying about this back or something like that. I don't actually know how many cores we have.
But I only have a minimum and maximum value.
So yeah, you just want to set threads max essentially. And I think the suggestion was setting it to 8. So I'm not sure I've got an M1 Max. I don't know what you've got. You've got an M1 Pro. So I guess we need to Google it unless you know where to find M1 Pro cores. So M1 Pro 8 or 10 core. So it doesn't actually tell me immediately. See, I've wanted to set it 6 or 8. Well, why don't you start by copying this out into your GDK YAML?
Yes. Okay.
So I'd remove all the guff that you don't want.
Yes. So out. And out.
Yeah, and get rid of workers and threads min as well. Just update threads max. Now, what seems unclear? It looks like have you got 14-inch or 16-inch?
16.
Is it just the standard M1?
No, M1 Pro.
M1 Pro. 8 performance.
Right.
6. 8 performance, Firestorm, 6 in the lower bin variants of the M1 Pro.
So I think you want to set it to 8. I think 8's right, but I mean, as I say, how you'll actually know, I think I might have a command that you can run kind of before and after.
Well, time spent in factory is 18 seconds. Let's see if that improves.
That's one way of doing it, I guess.
Oh, finished in 1 minute and 47 seconds. And that's the whole spec. So that's going inside of the page, loading, and all of that stuff. Let's see if that improves. And I'm pretty sure that I have to restart my GDK.
Yeah, I would expect it at least, if not, maybe even GDK reconfigure.
Let's try a restart.
I'll see if I can Google.
I also don't see how a user could not have access to any forkable namespace, because at least they have access to their own namespace.
Maybe on self-managed, you can set that to turn that off.
True. Probably. It looks faster. Or maybe it's just a placebo effect.
Maybe just reading. When running GDK restart, can't find anything that says after.
Capybara starting Puma, min threads 0, max thread 4, but I'm not sure if that's coming from that config file.
No, I suspect that this is a specific config just for RSpec Capybara. If you scroll up, I'm guessing it was 4 before when you ran it last time as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
But 4 was the default as well.
Yeah. So I suspect this only applies to actual GD. GitLab itself, I think, would be the correct term.
Anyway. Oh, so it's working, but it's enabled. So when the user does not have access to the project and the project is not public, to have it disabled. Why? I'm recreating the project in here, and that's private. So that doesn't really make any sense. Oh, no. If current user, yeah, why is it not there? Yeah, it took 2 seconds more than before, so yeah. It was only a placebo effect. When the user has access to more than one namespace, behaves like the fork button creates new fork. When the user cannot fork the project, disables the fork button on project page. So all my negative tests are failing. Not to have CSS, a disabled text fork. Maybe I'm just trying to search for the wrong element. And I'm almost at time, damn it. So not to have CSS. this is looking for an element with these classes and the fork text, if I understood it correctly.
Yeah. Is disabled a class, or is it more an attribute rather than a class?
It was working before, so I guess.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I guess that's on me for some reason. And also it's forks, not fork. But I don't know if that's matching the full word or not. Come on, load the page.
Yeah, I think you need to do a GDK reconfigure, by the way.
Probably.
So I've done that and it's actually modified. I don't know what file it's modified. It's modified like a GitLab YAML or some other kind of config file.
Okay.
Interestingly, it's increased mine from 4 to 8, so it might actually speed up for a completely different reason.
Oh, my GDK is not starting. So I have to find out why this spec is not working. Does not have access. This is the first.
I guess you can still like binding prior, right?
I should be, yeah. But is there any of the test passing in here? User does not have access. It's this one. The user has access. Has not already forked. Okay. And it's has not already forked the private like creates a new fork when the user cannot fork. So this is passing. This is the only one that's passing.
Right. But actually, that seems like a really flaky test, right? Because that could pass because
Button is not getting shown.
well, yeah, I mean, it could be that the button doesn't say fork, or it could be that the button's not shown, or it could be that it's disabled. I wonder whether what you should actually be able to assert is that the fork button exists, but it's not disabled, rather than saying that a disabled fork button doesn't exist. I don't know, maybe that is okay, but seems a little bit
No, I agree. And also this one is passing when the user has access to the project. Yeah, that's passing as well. So all the tests that are expecting the button not to have the disabled state is working, but I wonder if that's
Yeah, give that a try. It can't hurt, can it?
so now it should be searching for forks.
Do you want to update the other ones, or are you just running a specific set of?
Let's try. And this is my last try before I have to go.
Cool.
Oh, I was going to say, did you want to reconfigure your GDK to see if that Puma thing works?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, understood. I'm doing it on mine meanwhile as well, Andrew, just to see if it now. I'm not really a guru enough when it comes to Mac. Like I'm looking in Activity Monitor to see the number of Ruby threads, and yeah, that number doesn't really seem indicative to me. Let me just double check too.
It's still failing.
Maybe, yeah. No, probably not.
Have you looked at that HTML file to see what is being rendered?
I have not. I also wonder why it's not creating the PNG. Show revealed in Finder. Oh,
there we go.
That'd explain it.
And also explains why the other ones are passing, because
when the user does not have access to a private project and tries to go to that project, it's not the page.
And that really reasserts my sort of suggestion about it being a flaky test. If it's just checking that button doesn't exist, it really needs to say the button exists, but it's not disabled.
Yeah. I wonder this one. Will I ever?
Have you got JavaScript enabled?
JavaScript, yes, but yeah, JavaScript is enabled, but I think that's that HTML.
It's just because the CSS is not.
Yeah, the CSS and probably the JavaScript as well. It would be nice to have a GitLab website like this. Easy to find stuff. Fork. I have it.
Oh, so wait a minute. It says fork when.
Oh, it's when there's only.
When there's no forks or one fork, maybe, or I don't know. What logic have we coded it in?
I don't know. I will check that. Anyway, I think that I can remove the spec, making sure that when the user does not have access to the project.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's never going to happen. Or should I leave it there?
I think I'll get rid of it for now.
Yeah, let's get rid of it. And I have to find out why this is failing. Or rather, update the spec to make it more less flaky.
Yeah.
Okay. Got something to do for tomorrow then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your lunch, and maybe see you tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye. Oh,
Catch you later, guys.
When I stop the meeting, also the live streaming also stopped, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. Awesome.
We won't see you.
Bye.